Picture this. You wake up one morning and check your phone. Then you hop onto Discord and someone sends you a message. You instantly jump out of bed and go play the game. You've been waiting for this ever since the game came out. A dedicated mode in one of your favorite games for speedruns. Once you start playing, you get the first time on the board. You know it's easily improvable, but what you don't know is that you have just set out on a journey that would take more than just a little effort to overcome. This game was not thought of as a competitive game at the start. The updates were never designed to cause drama or arguments. No one ever thought of completely skipping the requirements. But what they did expect is a world record history of Wunka's On November 15th, as part of the recipe update, remotes would be added to the game. These would let you hit a button to go to a certain area's hub. As you could imagine, when speedrunners got this on their hands, they could save hefty amounts of time. It was much easier and faster when you could teleport somewhere instead of walking. The next update wouldn't come out for a while as players had to wait until December 1st for the next one. But when it did eventually come out, it dropped a bomb of new content into the game. An entirely new area had been added along with its own remote. It was given the name of the Winter Wonderland. This was an astonishingly beautiful area with many different places to admire. During this time, one candy or collectible would be hidden every day up until Christmas. This meant that for speedrunners, they would have to check in on the game every day to route these candies into the run. During this time, the developer Cobfather had been hinting that a new update was in development and was going to be released soon. This update was going to release a longly anticipated feature known as the speedrun mode. The idea had originated before the map had even been created, as another map similar to Candy Hunt called Egg Hunt included this feature upon the request of the community. Many people were excited to see what this update would bring, and they could not wait for it to be released on Christmas Day. This would be when all of the Winter Wonderland candies were in the game. This point in time foreshadows what would happen later on in the game's history. Some people were able to get early access to the speedrun mode before it even came out. Godfather had let a couple people try it, and they decided to have a race. Everyone was dead set on winning. They made sure to shut doors and undo everything they did so that they could get ahead. Ultimately, Fierce HJP was the first to finish the speedrun mode, but it would be up to time to decide who would get the real fastest time. People were just waiting and waiting for something to happen. The speedrunners were just waiting for it to be announced. And it was. Godfather, the creator, had the first time of 1610. The update was finally here, and everyone was eager to get their time shown off. Now people could prove their skill at the game. The first person to do a run after Godfather was Pale Manny, as he lowered the dev's time with a 14:55 on the board. Then he went on a streak, getting a 14:24, 12:37, 12:21, 12:19, and a 12:08. It seemed that Pale Manny would be a wall that players needed to knock over. His times were not easily beaten. Then a new runner entered the scene. Nico would start doing runs and got a first time of 15:46. He lowered it to a 14:42, but then something was figured out. People realized they could grab spicy ice cream, an item that lets you speed up before the run to save some additional time. After this, Pale Manny would decide to come back and drop a time of 11 minutes and 42 seconds. Then he would leave the speedrunning scene for a long time. This seemed to be common for Pale Manny to just join in, drop an insane world record, and then just leave. During this time, almost everyone was trying their best to achieve the world record. The main runners were Kevin the Madman, Golden LT Warrior, Team Knight, and Diggity. They would keep grinding until eventually they got personal bests of 18:47, 14:16, 14:07, and 13:02 respectively. Then, when Cobfather was working on his map, he found something very odd. When collecting the birdie, it didn't give score, so the in-game speedrun timer didn't recognize it as necessary to complete the speedrun. This summoned Pale Manny, and he beat the world record by 27 seconds with an 11:25. People were happy to be speedrunning, but that would all change when the stupidest argument in the world arose. of Thornholio had made a very passive-aggressive statement by saying, most of them get stuff ready before starting their speedrun, thinking it's fine. I, Pale Manny, had a fire lit up inside of me, and I had to show my anger and discontent on how much this comment offended me. I thought it was clearly wrong, as Codfather said it was okay to use ice creams before the run. Then, both sides of the argument just said any offensive thing they could think of, and gave the stupidest evidence. Eventually, this prompted the mods of the Candy Hunt Discord server to shut down the official speedrun channel. Then, 5 days later, a poll would be created to see whether players wanted speedrunning back. It was a strong no from people, but another one would be created the next day. Here, people barely said yes. Still meant that they could be fast again, though. People realized there were a lot of strats left undiscovered, and many of the ones used weren't even close to mastery. Once the boards were back up, there were new runners, and Pale Manny would start submitting multiple runs at a time. Now, all the people speedrunning were very good. Pale Manny, Nico, Gotta Get Money, and Fierce HJP would be the ones to dominate the boards. Pale Manny would get a starting time of 11:41. Nico would join in and get a 12:44 and then a 12:12. Then Gotta Get Money got his first ever time with a 6:17. Fierce HJP would get a 12:54 and Gotta Get Money would get down to 12:23. Then Pale Manny and Nico would have an all-out optimization war on the game. Pale Manny got a 11:36. Then Nico tied it with a day later. Nico took the world record with an 11:17, and then Pale Manny took it back with an 11:11. Then Nico says, "Try me," and beats it by 21 seconds with a 10:50. Pale Manny gets 1 second away with a 10:51. Then Pale Manny beats that by 11 seconds with a 10:39. Nico gets a 10:35. Then Pale Manny goes 9 seconds faster with a 10:26. After this, Nico would get an invalid 10:10, and Pale Manny would get the last record with a 10:16. Then a new area would be added to the game, the Valentine's area. This place had 20 brand new candies and these cool new bounce pads, but it came with a side effect. The in-game speedrun timer would not be able to handle the 105 candies that were in the game. The timer would just stop when the player collected 105 candies. Thornholio got a time of 29:28, so Pale Manny decided to do a run after that and got a time of 12:29. He decided to skip Chewing Gum, Chocolate Santa, Star Heart, Dark Covered Cocoa Beans, and the double white chalk silk. No one else has done a run of the Valentine's area, and that's where the record stands today. Speedrunning has kind of fallen off after my 12:29. No one is really running the game, but could you be the one to start it back up?